Sweet Rosie O'Grady, my dear little rose, sweet, my steady lady, most everyone knows. And when we are married, how happy we'll be, for I love sweet Rosie O'Grady.
So this is where it all started. This is San Diego State's inception story. San Diego had tried to create a college of higher education, but had been unsuccessful in the 1890s, and they soon learned that the key was to partner with the state of California. And that's when there was a bill put before California Governor James Budd on March 13th, 1897, and he signed us into existence. It's worth noting the pen he used was white and gold, and as he signed the charter, he turned to the school members and said, maybe these should be your first colors. If you look closely at our exhibit, you'll see that when the institution started out, its initial space was in rented office space at 6th and F Street in downtown. Later, it would move to University and Park Boulevard, and that would be its semi-permanent home before the move to Montezuma Mesa. We have spectacular early artifacts tying to that first president, Samuel T. Black, including his ebony cane and his saber. And you can see that the architecture of that original normal school became celebrated across San Diego and was on everything from postcards to candy dishes.
1, 2, 3, who are we?
We're the normals.
Don't you see?
Are we in it?
I could smile.
We are in it.
All the while.
The normalities we are.
Ho! Cry, crickle, crackle.
Solly Wally, wiggle waggle.
Chee, chee, cha, cha, cha. Normals, normals, rah, rah, rah.
You may talk about your colleges, your high schools, and the like, of all your dinky boarding schools that litter up the pike, of the blue and gold of UC and of Stanford's crimson hue, of our dreamy San Diego up to Sashta's Plain, away off to old Mexico, and away back home again.
No college, university, or school could ever star so brave, so true, or such a crew of students as we are. For we are the jolly students of the normal school. We've come to rule. Our colors are yellow and white. We shall bear the standard proud and high of our beloved school.
Rah, rah, rah!
We're the crowd that do or die, for we are the jolly students of the normal school. We've come to rule. Our colors are yellow and white. We shall bear the standard proud and high of our beloved school. Rah, rah, rah!
When whippoorwill calls and evening is nigh, I hurry to my blue heaven. I turn to the right, a little white light will lead you to my blue.
The 1920s are a key decade for San Diego State because it's the moment where the institution goes from being that normal school to a teacher's college. A key aspect of that was absorbing the junior college. And so the population doubles, it becomes a 4-year curriculum, and the president, President Hardy, insists that this is about students becoming complete people. So this is the moment where San Diego State develops sports, social activities, and community engagement. It broadens in a way that it hadn't seen before. And if you look closely at our exhibit, you'll see this is the moment where we adopt the name and colors that are persistent today in terms of the Aztecs and the red and black. You also get to see that we still have the dedication to teaching teachers and teaching children in the classroom. This is the only artifact that we've been able to find at the university that has the San Diego State Teachers College on it. And those are toy trucks from 100 years ago. Some of our most spectacular finds here.
Alma mater, thy sons stand before thee. We pour forth our hearts in songs of praise, for at thy feet, fair San Diego, we have lived and learned through the days. We who stand before thee, alma mater, chanting, lift our voices to the light, though while the way the cliff impending, triumphant we sing begirt with might. Ungrieved nor helmeted for battle, we fear neither foe nor fierce attack. Our lances are couchant, while above sweep the crimson and black. Though we may fare unto far places, thy crimson and thy black will always shine, to guide our footsteps ever onward. Alma mater, we are always thine.
During the 1930s, San Diego State came to resemble the institution it is today. And I mean that on a couple of different fronts. First, we moved to Montezuma Mesa, the Great Migration, as they called it. And that is where we started on this campus and just started to expand from the small mesa to the large campus we are today. At the same time, there were a bunch of traditions that were established that are still continued today. And when you look at some of our display, some of these traditions have been discontinued, but it's still part of the core fabric of who we are and what we do. One tradition was that all freshmen had to wear beanies, and you got in big trouble if you weren't wearing your beanie. The only way to get rid of the beanie was if, as a freshman, your team defeated the sophomores in the annual pushball game at halftime of homecoming. If you look at that picture there, 1936 freshmen on one side, sophomores on the other, a giant game of rugby with an even bigger 8-foot in diameter ball. If the freshmen won, they burned their beanies and they no longer had to wear those humiliating caps. As you go through our exhibit in the 1930s, you'll see this start of San Diego State turning into a liberal arts college from the Teachers College. And that was a key transition that leads all the way to the university today.
1, thou shalt wear thy green cap, that thy bumpy cranium may not be exposed to the inclemency of the weather. 2, thou shalt know thy college songs, Fair San Diego and Friar Junipero Serra, and thou shalt sing them when commanded and at none other time. 3, thou shalt stand at assembly until ye upperclassmen have secured all of the best seats, if any. 4, thou shalt not wear any high school pins nor rings, and thy emblem sweater shall repose in thy bureau drawer, for verily it is not given ye to flaunt thy tawdry honors in the face of thy superiors. 5, never shalt thou unhallowed feet tread the precincts of our front portico, for the beauty of our facade it shall be forever. 6, talk not, neither walk nor flirt with any woman, for that is the purpose of ye upperclassmen. 7, thou shalt wear one garter on each leg, lest ye socks tumble at the manner of those of the sophomores. For it is written that he who supports not his socks shall otherwise seek the expedient of thumbtacks. 8, tread not among the grass, lest ye become lost and be maimed by a lawnmower. 9, show thy knowledge of etiquette by continuously saying sir when speaking to upperclassmen. 10, prepare thyself constantly to serve sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Yeah, and even those of the faculty shalt thou serve.
The greatest thing you ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
The 1940s at San Diego State started entirely different from the way they ended. At the start of the 1940s, this was a frivolous and carefree campus. The biggest news on campus was when a couple of students filmed their spoof of the Bo Jess movie out in Buttercup Dunes. They all dressed up, they had their grandmothers sew costumes. This was the life of the campus, and the only problem they ran into was when Paramount Pictures told them, you don't have the copyright to show that. They ended up working out a deal where they could show it 3 times in 2 nights, and everybody was cracking up with laughter over the spoof. However, just 8 months later, when Pearl Harbor was bombed, everything changed for this campus. First of all, soldiers were stationed not only on campus, but at Hardy Tower immediately after Pearl Harbor. Second, you saw a mass drive of support for the military effort that included a large number of students, staff, and faculty joining the war effort. World War II completely transformed San Diego State. Furthermore, since so many of the service people from San Diego State were involved in piloting, the death rate for San Diego State students in the war was higher than anywhere else in the state. Tragedy hit San Diego State hard during World War II, but one professor, a geography professor named Loren Prost, himself a World War I veteran, started the Aztec newsletter. This was a newsletter that he raised money for, sent out 48 issues, and the whole goal was to keep the campus in touch with service people wherever they were all over the world. This ended up being the backbone of the campus during this time because letters went back and forth. Not only would he tell the serving students all about what was happening on campus, but they would send him deeply personal letters about what was going on with them, whether they were in Europe or the South Pacific.
Dear Mom and Dad, don't worry about me and how the world will affect me. That is, without regard to actual physical injury. I mean emotionally and mentally. I believe that I am more stable now than ever before. What I mean is that I have probably reached a greater peace of mind. I'm surrounded by death constantly, yet I can truthfully say that there is really no fear present. An occasional moment of nervous terror, yes, but if my number should come up, I'm ready. Yet I do have a very strong faith. It is not a faith to be put into words, but rather to be kept at heart. The 23rd Psalm and Lord's Prayer give me a peace of mind that is real. Sometimes, when I'm flying, I look out at the tremendous blue sky, the fleecy clouds, the earth below.
I realize what a small yet somehow integral part of things I am. It constantly amazes me, this flying. I know that we in the Army are really going to see this thing through. I hope that the people at home do not tire of war until this is accomplished. When I look into the future, I see a very morbid picture. But when I look back into history, I see many which were equally frightful. Along with this morbid picture, I see a very bright one. After this war is over, our standard of living will be changed to a new dreamed-of level. Perhaps this war will wipe out racial political boundaries, uniting this world in an intelligent peace and plenty for all. I'm getting tired, so I will say goodnight. I'm going to seal this up without reading it, otherwise I may never send it. Your loving son, John.
Well, bless my soul, what's wrong with me? I'm itching like a man on a fuzzy tree. My friends say I'm acting wild as a bug. I'm in love. I'm all shook up. Ooh, ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, my hand is shaking.
So there's a duality to San Diego State during the 1950s. On the one hand, it seems like it's all happy days. If you look closely at many of the artifacts here, you'll see homecoming queen trophies, you'll see football programs, you'll see letterman's jackets, you'll see cheerleader megaphones. And this really is a time of unprecedented growth and stability at the university. You have a 20-year run of President Malcolm Love that gives the campus that sense of unity. At the same time, San Diego State during this time is not very racially diverse, and there is a Red Scare that goes through campus, and the university doesn't end up supporting those individuals with different political beliefs.
Are you knowingly a member of the Communist Party?
Mrs. Chairwoman, I'm sorry, but I must refuse to answer such a question as I would if you had asked me if I was a member of any other party, because I do not believe that there is any authority under the act which you are asking such a question.
Have you since September 10th, 1948, knowingly been a member of the Communist Party?
In all good conscience, I must give you exactly the answer as I gave you a moment ago, ma'am.
That is, you declined to answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind.
Now, I'm not allowed to have favorites, but the 1960s was truly a special time. It's the second golden age of San Diego State. And when you look at what happened during this time period, you get to see a combination of academic excellence and community engagement that is unrivaled. First of all, in terms of political dignitaries coming to San Diego State during this decade, it's a lineup of Eleanor Roosevelt, President John F. Kennedy, who gives the commencement speech in 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Ronald Reagan, the list goes on and on. At the same time, the football team puts together undefeated seasons and multiple national championships, and that's all at a time where San Diego State College grows in a way in terms of academic excellence that was unrivaled up to this point. This display case shows a little bit of everything. Looking at these presidential visits, it's also the time that San Diego State starts its research trajectory because President Kennedy was given an honorary doctorate, which has allowed us to move on the path towards real research documents. And what you see here is Robert Metzger's first PhD from San Diego State, a joint doctorate in chemistry. When you look around, you also see these magical musical performances because this decade is special for our musical legacy as well. Everything from Ella Fitzgerald to the Grateful Dead, Bob Dylan, Joan Baez are all on showcase here.
You can't legislate integration, but you can legislate desegregation.
Morality can't be legislated, but laws can regulate behavior.
Laws can't make you love me. They can keep you from lynching me.
The laws can change our habits, and then our hearts will change. One of the most impressive, if not the most impressive accomplishment of this great Golden State has been the recognition by the students of this state of the importance of an education as a basis for the maintenance of an effective, free society. This fact was recognized in our earliest beginnings at the Massachusetts Bay Colony, but I do not believe that any state in the Union has given more attention in recent years to educating its students to the highest level, the doctorate level, the state level, the high schools, the junior colleges, and grade schools.
You recognize that a free society places burdens upon any free citizens. To govern is to choose, and the ability to make those choices wisely and responsibly and prudently implies the best of all of us. No country can possibly move ahead, no free society can possibly be sustained unless it has an educated citizenry whose quality of mind and heart permitted to take part in the complicated and sophisticated decisions that pour not only upon the president and upon the Congress, but upon all citizens who service the ultimate power.
The 1970s were a time of activism and area studies for San Diego State. This is when the social revolution came to our campus. Not the 1960s, it was the 1970s. The turmoil that was here came on all fronts: protest, counter-protest. Some of our famous firsts were right in the 70s, and it's some of the most important things that happened on campus. We are the institution that had the very first women's studies program in the entire nation. 1970. We had the first woman to ever play a Division I men's sport, Laurel Brassey, in 1974, and she joined the men's volleyball team that had won the national championship the year before. This is the only Division I championship in sports that San Diego State has ever run. When you look at the artifacts through here, what you'll see is the changing of the nation. You see all sorts of images that tie to different expressions, and honestly, the generations coming to terms with each other. That's what's so fun and exciting about this generation. And furthermore, it was the hotbed of local music. If you were to ask me, where did our legacy of live popular music start? It started right here in the back door in the 1970s.
Jack Temchin, a member of the Songwriters Hall of Fame and a proud SDSU triple major, is justifiably hailed as the man that made the back door famous. Not only did he work at the back door, play at the back door, and did everything to promote the back door, he also co-wrote the song Already Gone, which turned into a top 40 hit by the Eagles, at the back door. Jack loves to tell the story of how he and Rob Strenlund and a bottle of wine created the chorus of woo-hoo-hoo in that tiny kitchen at the back door in the early 1970s. Well, I heard some people talking just the other day, and they said you were gonna put me on a shelf. Well, listen, I got something to tell you, and you would not mind the truth. And you'll have to eat your lunch all by yourself, 'cause I'm already gone, and I'm feeling strong. I will sing this victory song. Woo-hoo-hoo, my, woo-hoo-hoo. The letter that you wrote me made me stop and wonder why. Well, I guess you felt like you had to set things right. But let me tell you this, my girl, when you look up in the sky, you may see the stars, but still won't see the light. That's right. 'Cause I'm already gone, and I'm feeling strong. I will sing this victory song. Woo-hoo-hoo, my, woo-hoo-hoo.
After the tumult of the 1970s, San Diego State experiences a period of stabilization during the 1980s. It's an incredibly important time, and it's the time we become a comprehensive university. And many things happen that slide under the radar a little bit are incredibly important to this institution. Things like the Graduate School of Public Health, things like the expansion of different curriculum and advancement for the students. It's also a period where you get to see some changes in identity for San Diego State. You have the party school legacy at San Diego State. You have big-time artists coming to the university to perform, like Madonna and many others. You have Tony Gwynn as a baseball and basketball star. You have this expansion of the university that really is reminiscent of the breadth of today's university. Perhaps the most impressive thing, though, is the sheer size of the institution. This is where we reach that over 30,000 student plateau at San Diego State.
I encourage you to look upon each new chapter of your life as the most exciting. No era, be it your college days or any other singular interest, will afford you the complete experience that living with an eye toward tomorrow permits. Each of you are entering into the mainstream of a world categorized as hopelessly doomed by some and ripe with new horizons by others. In the final analysis, only your continued desire to use the tools of learning already made available to you can be of assistance. You have labored long and hard to begin this quest. Never be willing to do less or settle for less as your journey progresses.
The 1990s truly had a little bit of everything. It was the best at times and the worst at times for San Diego State. The good included the centennial for the university. You had moments where San Diego State faculty made it to the North Pole. You had a donation of a book from 1543 to our library, a text by Copernicus that actually has passages blacked out during the Inquisition. You had one of our alums fly into space as the first Latina in space, Ellen Ochoa. At the same time, the 1990s were about turmoil at San Diego State. You had the most severe budget crises of the institution's entire history. You had faculty layoffs. You had protest. You had unrest at the university. A little bit of everything.
Ozzy Osbourne at SDSU, October 28th, 1995. Whereas other performances at State were better, and nearly all were longer, few were more memorable than the godfather of heavy metal's only appearance here on Montezuma Mesa. Touring in support of his album Osmosis, which had been released 4 days prior to his open-air theater gig, British heavy metal icon John Michael Ozzy Osbourne was enjoying a 1990s popularity renaissance, which would soon result in multiple Ozfest tours, a reality television show on MTV, and a Black Sabbath reunion. If controversy was a boon to one's success, then Ozzy's San Diego State performance was an entertainment elixir. According to numerous fans on site at the concert, Ozzy and his band had just finished 3 songs and were beginning a 4th when the self-proclaimed Prince of Darkness began to stray from the script. It wasn't until hearing the iconic guitar lick to Crazy Train that Ozzy turned to the crowd and said, "Hey, do you want to get crazy with me?" The frenzied audience screamed in affirmation, to which Ozzy repeated himself, "Hey, do you want to get crazy with me?" Of course, the crowd roared in approval, which prompted Ozzy to say, "Well then, come down here and get crazy with me." The crowd went wild. According to Scott Rankins, hundreds of concertgoers crushed into the pit. I think a dozen of people went to the hospital and Ozzy was banned from ever playing at SDSU. In actuality, only 6 were treated for injuries and Ozzy was not banned. According to Bobby Rankins, you could see the fear in the yellow security jacket team's eyes as they were being tossed off stage into the crowd. The concert was called off after that and everyone was forced to leave. Former AS Associate Director of Faculties John Kolick stated that he told the Daily Aztec that there's no way to prepare for an entertainer who tells the crowd to go wild. It was simply an uncontrollable situation. KCR radio reporter Noah Wallace on site at the concert.
I got a feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. A feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night.
It's tricky to put the now in historical context. But the 2000s is the time where San Diego State solidified its position as the flagship of the CSU and as a global university. San Diego State has had 3 different presidents during this time period, and each one put a different stamp on how to make San Diego State at the top of this ladder. The first was President Weber, and his message was one of inclusion. Then President Hirschman led the university in philanthropy, and San Diego State shot up the rankings as well. And now with President De La Torre, we have a new expansion that has included investment in our different campuses, whether it be in the country of Georgia or in Imperial Valley. At the same time, San Diego State, during the last 2 decades, has had all sorts of wonderful things come together in terms of student excellence and athletic achievement. When many people think of San Diego State during this time, they start and they sometimes end with the basketball team and the football team. Both have had unprecedented success, both here on campus, and then our graduates have been MVPs of championship seasons in multiple sports. When you think about this time period for San Diego State, it is also when key international dignitaries had come to San Diego State as well, including the Dalai Lama 10 years ago.
I truly believe we are all the same being. It's just that now we are 7 billion beings. We're all human brothers and sisters. The potential for good things and constructive things is the same, as is the potential for destructive things, everyone the same. A healthy body and a healthy mind allows for the development of interest. And with the development of interest, effort comes. And effort is not just a one-time effort, but day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, and decade by decade. When we put forth effort, there is no distance. And all 7 billion human beings are included in the we. Then there is no ground to fight. No ground for violence. No ground to cheat. No ground to argue. Effort comes from the individual, and each one of you has the same potential. You have the same opportunity. So let us bring inner peace, peaceful family, peaceful community, and through that way, we can create a peaceful world.
At San Diego State University, education is what drives us, but culture is what connects us. Here, you're part of a community that wants to learn more, do more, be more. Where we carve out our own path, where our potential meets our future. Tomorrow is ours to define. San Diego State University. Transform your tomorrow.